Hi everyone, welcome to our special noodle class broadcasting from Yamato headquarters in Kagawa, Japan. Thank you for joining us today. And today we are doing not exactly noodles, but like we are doing talking about gyoza. And my name is Akira, and I am going to be your host for this class. Let me introduce our company, Yamato. Um, so we are broadcasting today from Yamato headquarters in Kagawa, Japan. For those of you who don't know where Kagawa is, like you can Google it later. But so we are a 45-year-old manufacturer of noodle making machines, and noodle making machines that are designed to do mainly Japanese noodles from scratch, like ramen, soba and udon, and then like some like Chinese style noodles, and they like made some types of pasta as well. So we've been doing that for 45 years, but like about like 20 years ago, we started doing noodle schools on ramen, udon, and soba. So our headquarters in Kagawa, we have a school here, and then we teach students like who want to like open up their own noodle shops on ramen, udon, and soba here. And then in Tokyo, we have same sort of facility in school. And then we also have like school in Singapore as well. So we like to get into the first like lecture part, and then after that, like we're gonna actually show how like gyoza skins are made from scratch on noodle making machines. And later, we're gonna move to the kitchen where our instructors are waiting. They're going to show you guys how to make certain types of gyoza, and then how to cook them, and then how to put them in the containers for like takeout containers. Okay, so let's start with the lecture first, and then I'm going to be showing you guys some of the slides. So it says like special noodle class, but like it's not exactly noodle that we are talking about today. And kind of part of like explanation of like what we are. So like we are a manufacturer of noodle making machines. So we have number of customers in like different parts of the world. Like, so we now have like customers like using our machines in 61 countries, but more to come. And so we're a group of experts who are experienced in like noodle making, actually helping people who want to open up like noodle restaurants or noodle businesses succeed in their businesses. So we pretty much try to offer whatever we can to help people succeed in their noodle businesses. Okay, so let's start talking about gyoza. That's today's agenda. So what I want to talk about is like what's good about gyoza. I think gyoza has been really popular like recent years, but what's good about it, right? And then what we are kind of suggesting today, proposing today is that like why don't we make gyoza ourselves as a product, okay? And then why do we want to do that, right? And then part of the gyoza that's like very important component, the gyoza skin, and we'll talk about gyoza skin and how we can make gyoza skin from scratch. Okay, and then after that, that's the end of my lecture, and then Megumi is going to make gyoza skin from scratch on the noodle making machines, and then we're going to move to the kitchen, where our instructor is going to show you guys how to make and cook certain types of gyoza, followed by FAQ session. Okay. So what is good about gyoza, right? First of all, like gyoza is a complete meal. So complete meal which contains like protein, fiber, and everything, right? It's got everything. And it's easy, convenient, for customers to eat, right? And different different ways of cooking gyoza. There are different ways of cooking gyoza. For example, like grilled, that's the most popular one. Or like steamed, like boiling, and even like frying. So that you could have like different versions of gyoza that would like entertain customers. And easy to make, like different versions, like easy to make like vegetarian versions, like vegan versions, gluten-free even. And then like that's gyoza is suitable for takeout. And so gyoza is pretty good like for a lot of like noodle shops to have. Okay, so gyoza is a complete meal. So gyoza's got like basically two components. So the skins, which are carbohydrates, and fillings, which have like protein, fiber, and fat. So like it's all there. It's got everything that like consumers would need like as a nutrition. And you can have like you can play around like the different ingredients to make skins and like fillings. So it's a complete meal. That's a good thing. Like you can have like one bite and then you get all the nutrients. So why should we make gyoza ourselves, right? So one of them is like cost or profitability of it. Is that like gyoza is like typically like low cost, like in terms of like production cost. So like depending on like how much you could sell them for, like or like how much like consumers are willing to pay for, you could have like high profit. And it's easy to make original like unique products. And then so like it does allow you to like give consumers additions or like options other than noodles. Okay. So profitability of gyoza, right? Just talking about, of course, like production costs, of course, like labor, utility fees, and ingredients costs. Well, like, why don't we just focus on like ingredients cost this instance? So like fillings, for example, protein, maybe like ground meat, maybe like instead of ground meat, like for vegetarian version, like soybeans. Like fiber, like typically they use like cabbage, like a leek, like Chinese chive and stuff. This for seasoning, with salt, like oyster sauce, like garlic, ginger, and sake, etc. The skins, which are carbohydrates, typical like wheat flour, of course, and instead of wheat flour, like for a gluten-free option, it's well, of course, like rice flour and there's some other like gluten-free ingredients. Then of course water, salt, and oil like which we're going to talk about later. But like we use a bit of oil in the gyoza skin. So I think it varies dramatically, like from case to case. But like the total cost, like in terms of ingredients, would be like around maybe like 11 cents in US dollars. So like if you can like sell like maybe for one piece, right? 11 cents for one piece gyoza. So if you could sell like maybe 10 pieces like for $3 or something, then you could make a serious profit. Okay. So expressing originality in gyoza, right? So like we talked about like fiber, the fillings and skin. These are two components. And another aspect of like you're making gyoza like is that like there are like certain ways like you can cook gyoza. So like steaming, frying, grilling, and boiling. So you could have like different variations with gyoza pretty easily. For the fillings, you could make them like vegetarians, like vegan versions options by changing like protein. And then like some of the seasonings as well. And then of course like making skin differently, like using different ingredients. Of course like gluten-free option. Then like so like basically like a rice flour, but like you could have like easily gluten-free options. So talking about gyoza skin, we start talking about like gyoza skin texture. So the texture is very important for the taste of the gyoza, and because like ideally, like people say that like for especially for grilled gyoza skin, it's very important to have like gyoza skin that's crispy outside but like chewy inside, right? And then as you can see, like this, the crispy side, like crispy texture, the thickness of the gyoza like tends to be thin, but the chewy texture, like thickness gyoza like tends to be thicker. And then of course, like when it comes like wrapping of the gyoza, right? Because like when the gyoza skin is like soft, the softer the gyoza skin, it is easier to break. So it's got to have like some certain degree of like elasticity. Okay, so for so boiled and steamed gyoza, like the skin should be like more on like softer and chewier side. The thickness should be like larger than the skins that are used for like grilled gyoza. The skin should be like also like elastic enough to keep the fillings intact inside. So this is a very important part of like gyoza skin texture. So how do we make this kind of gyoza skin? Of course, and then well, I think like we've shown like this chart like before, like this chart like describes the different types of noodles in terms of like hardness and then the size of the noodles. And let me just briefly like kind of talk about this chart, like how it works. So y-axis represents like protein content of the flour that's used to make these type of noodles. In the horizontal line represents the hydration ratio, like how much water is contained in each of the noodles, right? Basically, the higher the protein, the harder the noodle texture. Then the lower the hydration ratio, the harder the noodle texture. Higher the hydration, the softer. Lower the protein, softer. So you see this, the green circle, which is like Hakata ramen. Maybe like too small for you guys, but like it's a high in proteins, so low in hydration ratio. So it's hard noodle. But like for the size on the right side of the this chart, it's like 1.1, 1.3 millimeters. So like it's very thin, small size. So like it's thin and small. I mean thin and hard noodle. Like on the opposite corner, it says like tsukemen, aka the dipping noodle, aka tsukemen. It's like yellow big circle. It's big in size, then soft in texture. So like it's thin, thick and soft noodles. And then we said that like this, any kind of ramen noodles should fall in between these extreme types. And for gyoza skin to be placed in this chart, so it's somewhere in between like the purple circle, like maybe closer to like dipping noodle. And then but for the size, we mean by like size is like its thickness of the skin is kind of goes along with the noodle size, ramen noodle size. So it's basically the thinner, harder, thicker, softer. So there's a relation that, and so like, but the range of like size, like thickness, maybe they range from like 0.7, 0.6 millimeter to like 1.4, 1.5 millimeter in thickness. And so the size, different ways. So like the most popular shape of like gyoza is like round shape, right? Round shape, like you guys seen it before. Then the round shape, in terms of like diameter, it range from like 70 millimeter to like 120 millimeters. So the bigger the size, like maybe like bigger the amount of filling that you had to put into the wrap in the gyoza skin. Other shape of like gyoza skin, maybe like rectangular shape. you just have like a rectangular shape, like the skin, and like you just put the filling in, like wrap them, and then grill them, or like yes. So yeah, so this chart like describes different types of gyoza skin, but like most of the gyoza skin should fall like somewhere within this purple circle. So ingredients to make gyoza skin. So we usually categorize ingredients into like two types of ingredients, like solid, liquid. For the solid ingredients, it's like of course like wheat flour, the protein content like 7 to like 11%. So 7 to 11%, like that's like sort of like the lower side of protein content, like gyoza skin like softer. Then the starch. So starch, like typically we use like such starch as like tapioca starch, which makes the dough sort of like a bit chewier. And then for the liquid ingredients, also we use like water, and the sugar, salt like which adds some taste of sugar and salt. These are like melted in the water before we add to the flour in the mixing, make dough, and oil. So we use like sort of like vegetable oil, like canola oil. This makes the dough like kind of smoother, a bit elastic. So typically these are the kinds of ingredients we use for gyoza skin. And the wheat flour is of course like most important ingredients for the gyoza skin. And for like protein, we talk about like higher protein, the harder the texture. Then the ash. So the higher the ash content, like the color, the darker the color, and then the more flavor of the wheat. Then the viscosity value, like is not a value that we should look, we should be concerned about, like when talking about like gyoza skin, is that like higher the viscosity value, like the more elastic the gyoza skin. So yeah, you need to have like flour with a high viscosity value, but like you can't really look at the product label and see like how much the viscosity value it is like it has. So, but like you need to like test it and which on a device, special device, which we have like at this headquarter. So if you have a flour that you want to be tested, so you can just send a sample to us and like we can test it for you. It's free of charge. Okay. Other ingredients like so like when you see like this kind of picture like with the different colors, we use like different coloring, like flavoring ingredients, like such as like spinach powder, like squid ink, chili powder or something. Then the gluten to make it harder. Then there's like other types of like grain flour, like whole rye, and then oil, like we talked about, like and other ingredients. Well, okay, like so starting to talk about production process. So production process with gyoza skin. This is actually the exact same process that you would have to go through to make ramen noodles up to this point, just on this slide, like up to like number 5, second resting process. Like the most important step in this process, this slide is weighing of ingredients at the right ratios. Unless like you weigh each ingredients correctly at the right ratio, like the rest of the process won't matter. Because if you screw up in this process, like what you like produce to like what the end product would be like, it'd be totally different. So like we need to weigh on a scale each ingredients precisely to have like consistent quality, and this is like one of the principles like we have like in our training. Then second most important process is the mixing process. So in the mixing process, like what's happening is that like so each flour grain is coming together as it gets mixed with the water. So it gets like bigger and bigger. We call it the agitation granulation process. So that's what's happening. That's like what like our like mixer does, the mixing process. And then on the right bottom like image shows that it's so like gluten structure like being developed inside the dough. So it's very like well like web-like kind of structure like dough. I mean gluten that you need to like develop in dough, right? So kind of partly like mixing. That's what the like mixing process does, and then it's further developed in like first resting process. Like after mixing, you put the dough into the plastic bag and then like let it sit. We'll show you later, but yeah. So that's one of the most important process. The wrap forming, combining processes. We'll show you later, like when we actually make gyoza skin like from scratch on a noodle machine. So after that, like for the first slide, just completes the dough, the gluten structure and everything. And after that, like all you have to do is just thin it to the final thickness, and then cut it and then portion it. Okay, so why don't we start like making gyoza skin from scratch, right? So let me show you guys the ingredients first. So this is a very simple gyoza skin ingredients. Like over here we have salt, the sugar, oil, and then oil like that's like vegetable oil. Like that doesn't have like much of a smell, like flavors. The water, right? Then this flour, like flour. We this time around, like because like nowadays, like gyoza skin, like in Japan, like it's kind of like moving towards like kind of softer texture. So this flour is actually udon flour, which has like protein content of like maybe 8.2% or so, which makes like dough like softer and chewier. Okay, so over there we have a noodle making machines. It's called like Richmond 1. It's an all-in-one machine which has 10 kilograms mixer, and we're gonna start making dough using these ingredients. So it's a 10 kilograms mixer, but like with a minimum batch of like 4 kilograms. So the amount of like flour we are putting in the mixer right now is 4 kilograms. And so we're gonna put the lid on, and I'm gonna start the mixer. And we like to mix it like for about 1 minute, and like to kind of break the chunks of like flour into like smaller pieces, and then we want to like kind of get some like air into the flour particles. And then while we do that, we want to melt the sugar and salt, and yes, we need to like stir it well, like to dissolve like thoroughly. Okay, so after like sugar and salt or dissolve the salt thoroughly, we'll put the mixer to set the time like 4 minutes first, and then same like for the oil, we can actually add oil like directly to the flour first. But like for the liquid, for the water, we should add it onto the mixing lid, which has small holes, which allow the liquid to drip through, so that the liquid is added to the flour like little by little, not like all at once, to kind of promote kind of good hydration of the flour. But like you can't wait forever to for mixer to be done. So why don't we like start processing the dough that we prepared before, and then you know we actually resting this dough after mixing. So this dough has like hydration ratio of about 38%. But like inside 38%, like there's water. It was like water is like most of it, but like the sugar, the salt, and then oil. And for it's got this machine has two separate rollers, and then you can control the clearance between these two rollers. And then by controlling the clearance or like roller gap, we can process this dough into like rough sheet of dough. And so the first round, though, like we set the roller gap to 1.5 millimeter, and then she just like keeps feeding the dough into the rollers, and then that rough sheet of dough is coming out, and that's going through the 1.5 millimeter of like roller gap. So this is like what 38% hydration ratio dough looks like. And of course, like if you add more liquid, the higher the hydration ratio, the bigger the chunks of the dough. But this machine is actually better at making dough that's making noodles or like gyoza skin that's on the drier side. So maybe like it's easier for you for us to be able to like make noodles or the gyoza skin that are like less than 40% hydration ratio. And of course, like you could try with the less hydration ratio, like less liquid, which makes it like this dough like softer. I mean drier and like harder, and like the chunks would be like smaller. So got some question. What if the dough breaks right here? Um, so if the dough breaks, um, we can still continue. The dough breaks and like yeah, so like I'm not sure like what the question is about, but like the dough breaks, then we could like keep like feeding it, and then like dough breaks there, like, and then if we want to like get it like continued, like, so we could like get it joined with like the rest of the dough by feeding through the rollers. How do you join two? Okay, but it really depends on like, so okay, give me back to the so like after like rough sheet forming, right? So we do a combining process, like, because after rough sheet forming, so the dough is like still fragile, but we want to make it firm, so we want to separate it and then combine them together through our rollers. And then that was like 1.5 millimeter like roller gap that went through. Then so that was like 1.5 separate, right, sheet going into the rollers. So that's equivalent like 3 millimeter dough going in there. But we want to apply like not too much pressure, but like, apply like just a good amount of pressure, which we think is like a 70% pressure. So that's 3 millimeter equivalent dough is going through the rollers. So we apply this rule of like 70%. 70% of the 3 millimeter is like 2.1 millimeter, like round it down to 2.0 millimeter. So the dough is like going through the 2.0 millimeter like roller gap right now. Okay, so how do we join two so like broken like dough, right? Is that like, it kind of depends on like how broken the dough is, like how separated the doughs are. So but like if like the dough is like dough sheet is cut off like from the middle, we'll just like join it like through, just move it over there, move it over to this side to join it again, like just kind of like broken dough, like separated dough. We just feed it to the rollers, like kind of continuously, like the kind of new dough that's going to the rollers. But yes, well, like it depends on like how the dough is, like how the situation is, like it really depends. So so after combining process, like the dough surface is actually smoother than before. I wish like you could touch it, feel it. Then usually like we do this combining process like twice. So again, like she's separating it into like two sheets, and then combining them again for the rollers, and then so like it went through 2.0 millimeter roller gap. So it's supposed to be 2 millimeter and 2 millimeter, like, so plus 4. I mean, so 4 millimeter equivalent dough is going through the roller right now. And then remember the 70% rule. So 4 times like 70%, that's like 2.8. Or like for the sake of simplicity, like we round it up to 3.0 millimeter. And from this point on, we want to dust it. We want to dust it because we wouldn't want to stick. We wouldn't want that like those skin to stick together. So from this point on, you want to start dusting, and especially like those your skin like tends to be like wetter, is higher in hydration, like, so we need to apply a good amount of dusting powder to keep it from sticking. Yeah, somebody asked, yeah, this is the same enrichment machine for ramen. Yes, so this is basically a ramen noodle machines. Um, so we kind of talked about like process, process before, and then so up to this point, it's exactly the same process that we're doing like to make for production of ramen noodles. And the difference between, yes. Okay, so what do you use for dusting in the case, right? Yes, so like we use some type of starch. In Japan, like usually use it's called a sago starch. That's actually starch of like a palm tree, some type of palm tree, because it it prevents like it prevents the dough from sticking, as well as like it doesn't dilute the cooking water as much as other types of starch. So in Japan, like we use like this type of starch, but like overseas, like we've checked, but like it's hard to get this type of starch. So as a dusting powder. So overseas, like we usually recommend starch like that's made of potato, like corn, if like any kind of starch that keeps dough from sticking, and hopefully like that won't makes the cooking water as dirty, like as fast. Yeah, so after, so the only difference between, I mean, not the only difference, but like the main difference between the gyoza skin and the ramen noodles is that like ramen noodles contains certain ingredients called like kansi, which is like typical like combination of potassium carbonate and sodium carbonate, but like gyoza skin doesn't contain it, because the gyoza skin is not cooked in water. Ramen noodles are cooked in water before they're served to the customers. So 90% of almost 90% of kansi is like dissolved in the cooking water. So the consumers do not like taste much of the kansi, maybe like be the smell of it. But like in terms of girls, like we don't put them in cooking water. So if we put kansi in it, the kansi remains in girl's skin. So that like we would have we would let the customers like taste kansi, which is not like really pleasant taste. So that's why you don't put in kansi in girl's skin. And from like after combining process, like second combining process, like we could start like rolling faster. So like we can speed up the rolling speed. And currently like it's rolling at 1.5 millimeter. And then I think like we're going to do like another round roll thinning. And then yeah, so I think for this batch, like we're aiming at maybe like the thickness of like 0.9 millimeter. So in Japan, like we have like certain shops that are actually specializing in serving gyoza. I don't think there's such like there's many of the like um, you know restaurants that are specializing in like just serving gyoza. But um, I think the tendency is that like I think more and more noodle shops that are serving gyoza, or like these special shop, they are more of them like kind of serving gyoza with that like kind of like gyoza skin that's like thicker side, that's on the thicker side. Of course, like this machine can like make gyoza skin like as thin as like 0.5 millimeter, like 0.6 millimeter, but like it's like for the texture, like I think more consumers like kind of seeking like kind of texture that's you know, we talk about like a crispy outside, like chewy inside. So I think that's a tendency. And as you can see, like, you know, we are dusting a lot in this dough because we want to make sure that it's not going to stick. And then the thinner the dough gets, you know, even though, and well, even though like, regardless of like hydration ratio, the wetter the dough becomes. So it gets stickier and stickier as we thin it. So, and then after it's gone through like roller gap rollers, you know, it's the dough is like always bigger than the roller gap we set. So that was 1.0 millimeter, like it's gone through, but like the actual thickness was like actually 1.4 millimeters. So there's like discrepancy of like 0.4 millimeter. Then like we are aiming the final thickness to be like 0.9 millimeter. To get there, we set that roller gap to 0.6 or 0.5. So we expect that dough to expand back by 0.4. And for gyoza skin, we are using this type of drum. We call it gyoza drum. And what we are trying to make with this drum is that like we are trying to make well, layers of gyoza skin onto this drum. Yeah, so like what we're trying to do here is that like we're making layers like gyoza skin like with a certain length, so that we could punch out like a bunch of like gyoza skins like all at once. And like gyoza skins like tends to be like, of course, like thin. Then like in this case like soft. It's like thin and soft. That's not a really good combination for like ramen noodles, but when we actually make such dough, we need to like go slow, because if you go faster, then it may break. So we need to sort of like control the like rolling speed. And another thing is that like when we punch out like these layers of dough with the cutter, like using like a round shape like cutter, like we're gonna show you like in a minute. It's like we are, it's not really, you're gonna have like make some loss because it's round shape. So like some of the dough like that are cut out like on the left with like kind of uneven shape, and then we would have to like use them for like for different things, or like we may be able to like feed them again, like make another batch of like gyoza skin. So what we do is that like we make a cut, the layers, and then spread them out. Voila, like it's then you have layers of skin, and then all you have to do is that you need to just punch them out using these those skin cutters. So the one she's using right now is I think it's 90 millimeters diameter, which is a bit large for Japanese standard. And then not sure what size it is, but like smaller than 90. And then I think this is the kind of standard size in Japan. And that's smallest, like 75 millimeter in diameter. Of course, you can have like smaller, even smaller size. And you can imagine like how much fillings you may be wrapping like in each of these skins. So like when we are rolling, when we're sheeting, so we if you hadn't dusted like well enough, like then some of the skins are stuck, and then like easy to like kind of separate them. But we dusted like very well, so like they're easy to separate. Okay, so that's how the skins are made from scratch. And we made these gyoza skins yesterday for this class. For example, this one, we needed kale powder in them. This one, we needed the kelp powder, which helps the dough, the texture, so like elastic too. And this one, like we needed the lemon powder. And this one is normal, like exactly the same kind of gyoza skin like we just made. This one, the color changed like overnight, but like we need like beets powder, beets, the vegetable. This one, the squid ink, and this is gluten free. It's made of like rice powder. It's gluten free version. And over here we have these this is a rectangular shape skin that I was talking about. So you just put a filling in, and then like just wrap them, and then this is like used for like kind of we call them like stick gyoza. Stick gyozas, like people like just hold in hand, like just they can eat it like as they walk the streets and stuff. So like we think that it's gonna be pretty popular in the future. And then you don't lose as much of the gyoza skins in this case, like as like round shaped gyoza. yeah, so like what do you do with the leftover gyoza skin, right? It's like, as I kind of talked about, like, so, yes, so we can, we feed them again, like in the rollers, like to produce like more skins, or some of the ramen shops actually use them as sort of like kind of fry them, like, or put them like kind of cook them, and then like put them as topping on their ramen bowls. Um, you can have like kind of different uses for this. And yes, we manufacture these the the cutter different diameters. Yes. Okay, so that was kind of what we had like for production girl skin and first lecture part. And so we like to like move to the kitchen where our instructors are like standing by to produce like gyoza. Um, yes, it is possible to form those sheets like again like from leftover, but like the quality wise is actually a bit inferior from the first batch, but it's um, maybe like hard to notice, but yeah, like maybe like bit worse than the like I mean the inferior from the original dough, the first batch. Okay, so we need like 1 minute or 2 minutes to get ourselves like to prepare like to move to the kitchen. So yeah, the signal may be lost. I mean, you don't see me, but like maybe. So we're doing this kind of class like from now like frequently. So if you'd like to like attend this kind of class like in the future, please subscribe to like Yamato Noodle YouTube channel. Yeah, so like how do we minimize the waste, right, from first batch? So again, you could use, so you could like have like different shapes. It's like not the round like or the like rectangular, maybe like square shape. Um, yeah, because there could be like different types of gyoza like that too. Or you could have like a round shape, like with the kind of bigger version, like kind of try to like kind of cover all the areas of like gyoza skin and then leftover you could as what I was talking about, like as like some of the ramen shops do, like use them for like toppings, or maybe like fry them and then like make them into like snacks as like a side dish. Okay, so we are entering the kitchen. So this is a kitchen like we use for our ramen school, like udon school in Kagawa. We have the same facility in Tokyo, and our concept of our school is that like so we of course like teach like everything like from scratch, like basics and everything. But like, we basically help like each student reach his or her own unique bowl of ramen. So of course, like we teach tonkotsu and like show you like everything, right? But like each student has like his or her own idea of like ramen. Um, then like we so like we help each student kind of reach their own recipes by actually teaching everything from basics to like different applications. Um, but as you can see, like we have like these equipment. So we have like 10 big induction cookers like that to cook like different broth, individually like different like ingredients. And so each ingredients it's being cooked like in different pots, and so the students can taste like how the each ingredients taste, right? Then we would make tens of like different types like tare, which determines the taste of the broth, like shoyu, the miso, like shio. Then like flavored oil, like 30, like 40, 50 different types of like flavor oil, like we make them from scratch. So each student can have like this environment as a like a lab where they can play around with different components of ramen. So this is like what we do at our school. And here are our instructors. So today we have like 3 instructors. In the middle, Mr. Ikeda is he has like deep, like long experience, like working like Chinese cuisine. So so he has like helped us a lot, like to put together today's class, gyoza. So like he has like, because of his Chinese cuisine background, like so which is like kind of has like kind of similar lineage to the ramen. So he's been like teaching ramen school, like udon school, for a couple of years, and then like he has a depth like in the knowledge like in the Chinese cuisine. So like you guys, if you guys like have some questions, later you guys can ask Mr. Ikeda about them. Mr. Takeuchi, or like you guys can call him like Thomas. He's from Canada, like basically American citizen, like native speaker of English, and so he's been with us like for a couple of years, like having some like experience like in Japanese cuisine. Like he has like very like kniving skills, and like so he's actually later like he's gonna show you guys how to cook, how to wrap a few types like gyoza as well. Mr. Sun, so he's been with us like just for a couple months, but like he's speaks Chinese, and he has a great potential to be like a great teacher. So for those of you like who are Chinese speakers, please ask him like questions in Chinese later. Okay. So to get us started on the kind of technical side of things like on gyoza, I'll pass it on to Thomas.
Thank you, Akira. Once again, this is Thomas from Yamato Noodle School. I'm one of the instructors for the ramen school, soba school, and udon school. And today I'll be showing you how to wrap up the gyoza in 3 different ways, and also some tips for preparing your gyoza. And finally, it will be cooking the gyoza in 3 different ways. We'll be making boiled gyoza, and deep fried gyoza, and also pan-fried gyoza. Okay, so let's move on to wrapping up the gyozas in 3 different ways. So one on the left right here, this one is the most common shape for Japanese gyozas. It's got some folds on the ends. And the next one is just a simple half-moon shaped gyoza. And the third one is this circular shaped gyoza. And we're going to be using this for both gyozas. Okay, so let's start wrapping up these. I'm going to start off with this common shape for Japanese gyoza. By the way, this gyoza filling right here, this recipe is taught at our ramen school. So if you're interested, please consider a ramen school. Okay, so to wrap up these gyozas, first you want to put some water on the ends. and put the gyoza filling in the middle. And what you want to do is you kind of want to fold it in half, but don't quite seal it yet. And what you want to do is you want to make some folds and seal at the same time. So just like this. So I'll do that one more time. Put some water on the ends. And gyoza filling in the middle. And fold it in half. And make these folds and seal from right to left. Just like this. So regardless of what shape you're going to wrap up your gyoza, the most important thing is to completely seal the ends. You don't want any openings because you want to keep all the juice inside. And that's the qualities for a good, nice tasting gyoza. Okay, so next one. Next one, I'll be wrapping up the circular shaped gyoza for boiled dumplings, boiled gyozas. Once again, I put water on the edges and gyoza filling in the middle. And this time, you're not going to make any folds, so you just fold it in half and seal. And completely seal the ends. And then next, you want to fold it this way. This way, and bring the ends together and combine it together. I'll do that one more time. Put some water on the ends, and gyoza filling in the middle. Fold it in half and seal. And then fold this gyoza this way and bring the ends together. So just like that. And next, I'll be folding up these simple half-moon shaped gyozas for deep-fried dumplings, deep-fried gyozas. Put some filling in the middle and just fold it in half and seal. I'll do that one more time. Put some water on the edges. Gyoza filling in the middle. Fold it in half and seal. So just like this. So we're going to use these for deep fried gyozas. These are perfect for deep fried gyozas because if you deep fry these, the overlap of these gyoza skin, this part's going to be too hard to eat. So when you're making deep fried gyozas, you want to wrap up the gyoza without the folds. So this is going to give you a light and crispy deep fried gyoza. So this is how to wrap your gyoza in 3 different ways. So now I want to talk about some of the gyoza preparation tips. Some of the questions I get for gyoza preparation is how to remove water out of the chopped up vegetables. So if you're making small portions, obviously you can just squeeze the vegetables with your hands to remove all the water. But if you're making large portions, that's going to be a lot of work. So my answer to that question is I would use a clean cloth and just wrap up the chopped up vegetables and just squeeze the water out of the vegetables. Or maybe you can just put some weight onto the wrapped up vegetables and squeeze out the water over time. So that's one way. And another way is to use a specialized equipment for squeezing the water out of the vegetables. So there's some equipments where there's a strainer and there's a plate on top, and it puts a pressure on that chopped up vegetables against that strainer to remove all the water out of the vegetables. And that kind of equipment comes in all sorts of shape and sizes. So if you're making large portions of gyoza fillings, I would recommend using those specialized equipments for removing water out of the vegetables. So, and the second question I often get is, how do you freeze your gyozas? Right? I'm pretty sure some of you guys want to prepare your gyoza, a week worth of gyozas in one day. So you have to freeze them to store them. And when you freeze your gyozas, the most important thing is to freeze them quickly. You want to quickly freeze your gyoza to maintain the flavor and the quality. And so I recommend using these aluminum or stainless steel trays. This will quickly freeze your gyozas and keep them hydrated. And also, another tip is to keep the gyozas, make sure to have a space between gyoza, because you never want the gyoza to stick together. And also, make sure to have enough dusting powder to keep the gyoza separate. You never want the gyoza to stick together, because when you break them apart, you're probably going to rip the skin as well. And once again, you're not going to be able to keep the juice inside for a good tasting gyoza. And another question we got in the comments is that, why do you put sugar into your gyoza skin and not into your fillings? That's because we add sugar into the gyoza skin because that helps the browning on the bottom when you're pan frying the gyoza. So that's why we add 1% sugar into the gyoza skin. So, any other questions? We got a question where he said, don't you pre-boil before freezing? You can pre-boil before freezing, or you can just have it raw. You can just freeze the gyozas raw. It's your choice. I recommend freezing the gyozas raw. I think that maintains the flavor and the quality better than just pre-boiling them. Oh, and also we have some questions about what do you do with the leftover gyoza skin? You can run the leftover gyoza skin through the machine one more time, through the roller, and combine them into one piece of dough sheet one more time, and thin them out, and use that gyoza circular cutter and punch it into a gyoza skin size. So you can reuse that leftover skin one more time. I wouldn't use it the third time. Maybe just second time will be enough. So I'm going to move on to the cooking part. So I'm going to start off with boiled gyozas. So right here we have the rapidly boiling water, and we're just going to dump these gyoza into the water. And we're going to cook them for 3 minutes. So boiled gyozas are very simple, but there's some tips for you. Make sure to have a lot of water. You want the gyoza to be moving around freely for a consistent boil. You never want to squeeze in a whole bunch of gyozas into a small pot, because you're going to end up with undercooked parts, and you're going to end up with like an overcooked parts. You're not going to end up with a consistent boil. So as you can see, the gyoza is moving around in the pot freely. And after 3 minutes, we're going to use a strainer and take the gyoza out into the container. And we're going to be preparing in this takeout container because gyoza is also perfect for takeout. And we have the sauce on the side as well. Right here. And also, today we use different kind of colors for the gyoza skin. That makes the boiled gyoza a little bit more interesting. And we got the regular colored gyoza skin and the black gyoza skin, which is colored with squid ink. And we also have the red gyoza skin, which is colored with beets. And we got the green gyoza skins colored with kale. Obviously, today we use exact same filling for each kind of gyoza skin color, but you can also change up the gyoza filling depending on the color of the skin. For example, you can fill up the green gyoza skin with vegetarian option, and maybe you can fill up that red gyoza skin with prawn gyoza fillings, and that's just gonna kind of like match up the color in the inside as well. So about 10 more seconds. So when all the gyoza are floating up, that's another sign that the gyoza is completely cooked. So now it's cooked for 3 minutes, completely cooked. So I'm going to use a strainer to take out the gyozas. Make sure to strain out all the boiling water. And into the container. And make sure when you're preparing the boiled gyozas for takeout, don't close the lid right away because you're going to keep the moisture inside and you're going to end up with the soggy gyozas. So just keep the lid open and let the moisture out, and just close the lid right before serving it to the customer. Let's split one open. I'll just so this one. Okay, so boiled gyoza is prepared like this. So now we're going to move on to deep fried gyozas. So right now the oil temperature is at 170 degrees Celsius, and Fahrenheit, that would be around 340 degrees Fahrenheit. And all I do is just put the gyoza into the hot oil. Make sure to just slide in the gyoza from the side. Don't just throw the gyoza in because that's gonna splash some hot oil everywhere and that's dangerous. So just slide it in from the side. And we're gonna cook it for 2 minutes. And 170 degrees is the perfect temperature for deep frying your gyoza. When the temperature is too high, you're going to end up with a black outside and undercooked inside filling. So 170 degrees is perfect temperature for cooking your deep fried gyoza. And as you can see, the top part of the gyoza is not cooked. So halfway through, you want to flip them. 30 more seconds. And once it's completely cooked, I'm going to take the gyoza out and onto this tray. And I'm going to let it rest for a little bit. And I'm going to let it rest because I want to remove all the oil. And I want to keep the gyoza light and crispy. And I don't want to make them greasy, so I'm just going to move it to this tray. So 3 more seconds, 1 more second. So now it's completely cooked. I'm going to move it to the tray. And I'm going to place the deep fried gyoza in this paper container. And for the sauce, we're going to be using sweet chili sauce. This is perfect for deep fried gyoza. Just going to put it on this on the side. And so this is how to make your deep fried gyozas. Make sure for this one as well, don't close the lid right away. You want to let the moisture out before closing the lid. So just close the lid right before serving it to the customer. So let's break one open as well. The kale skin. It's just like this. The skin is nice and crispy, and the inside, because we completely sealed the ends, the juice remained inside. Okay, next we're going to pan fry the gyoza. So there's 3 steps for pan frying your gyoza. The first step is to completely cook the bottom part of the gyoza until it's golden brown. So what you want to do is just line up these gyoza in a circle. Make sure to have space in between. You don't want the gyoza to stick together. So I'm cooking the gyoza at low heat, and I'm just gonna cook the bottom part until it's golden brown. Obviously, it's not golden brown yet. And after this step, we're going to steam the gyoza, but we're gonna steam the gyoza with this water mixed with this wheat flour because we wanna make some crust around the gyoza. So I mixed 5 grams of wheat flour into 100 milliliters of water. Um, the most common, we have a question where what size is most common for, is that for, I believe that's for the gyoza skin. I believe 8 centimeter diameter is the most common size for gyoza skin. And we have another question. Do you guys have a recipe for the gyoza filling? Yes, we do. We teach that at our ramen school. So please consider ramen school if you're interested in the gyoza recipe. So the bottom part of the gyoza is golden brown. So we're going to move on to the next step. I'm going to pour this water with wheat flour and put the lid on to steam the gyoza. And we're going to cook this for approximately 2 minutes, just until all the water is evaporated. Today we're using raw gyoza, so 2 minutes is enough. But when you're making, when you're cooking frozen gyozas, I believe 2 minutes won't be enough. So maybe 4 or 5 minutes of steaming time should be. You'll probably need 4 or 5 minutes to steam the gyoza until it's completely cooked. And that's the same for boiled gyozas and deep fried gyozas as well. Boiled gyozas, you probably need to boil them for 4 or 5 minutes if you're starting from frozen gyoza. And deep fried gyoza, I won't recommend deep frying frozen gyozas because I'm pretty sure you're going to end up with a undercooked filling. So make sure to defrost the gyoza first when you're deep frying the gyoza. Okay, so most of the water is evaporated, so I'm going to remove the lid. And the third step is to color the crust. So first thing you do is to color the bottom part of the gyoza and then put water in it to steam the gyoza to cook the inside. And then the last step is to color the crust part of this pan-fried gyoza. Just cook the crust until it's golden brown. Okay, so just like this. And now I'm going to flip this gyoza onto this plate. So first, I'm going to place the plate onto the gyoza and then flip and remove the pan. So this is a gyoza, pan-fried gyoza with the crust. This is a popular presentation for Japanese gyoza in Japan. And it's not just for the looks, also gives an extra crispiness to the gyoza, so it tastes great as well. Okay, so let's the crust part is nice and crispy. And the inside is nice and juicy. So that's how to cook your pan-fried gyoza. boiled gyoza, and deep fried gyoza. So that's about it from my side. So if there's any other questions? There's a question with is the gyoza dressing same as the hiyashi dressing? It's similar. We just mix the black vinegar with soy sauce, and we just make this vinegar soy sauce, and that's perfect for gyoza. And maybe some sesame oil as well. Or maybe chili oil with that. That's also perfect. So it is similar to hiyashi dressing, but it's more simple. Just soy sauce and vinegar is enough. Can you show how to do those amazing folds again? So let's just do it one more time. Okay, so I'm going to do the most common shape first. Put some water on the edges. And gyoza filling in the middle. And then fold it in half, but don't quite seal it yet. What you want to do is you want to make the folds and seal at the same time. So just like that. I'll do that one more time. Put some water on the edges. Gyoza filling in the middle. Fold it in half and make the folds and seal at the same time. I'm right-handed, so I start from right to left, just like that. And I'm going to do the circular shape gyoza as well. Put some filling in the middle. Fold it in half and seal. And now you want to fold the gyoza this way and bring the ends together. Let's do that one more time. Water on the edges, gyoza filling in the middle, seal, and fold this way and bring the ends together, just like this. Okay. So that's about it for the questions. So I will pass it back to Akira.
Well, thank you so much, Thomas. That was a really good job for this class. And so that's about it for what we have for this class. And so we're going to be doing this type of class more frequently. And for those of you like who have like some interest in certain subjects, that are related to noodles or anything that you're interested in, please leave those in the comments. and then or you guys can like send us some emails talking about them. You know, we're gonna be doing this class. So like for those of you who are interested in this kind of subject, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Yamato Noodle. And then if you like this class, please hit the like button. And then, so we hope to see you guys in the next class. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next class. Thank you. Bye-bye.